Hi, Lewis Black here. Since all of the options that are open for me now in terms of comedy are not really anything that I feel like doing or feel comfortable with, uh, there is one way I thought that I could get back to where my comedy comes from and where I believe your comedy comes from. I think this will be good for you. I hope it's good for me. It better be good for us, or, well, what difference does it make? Because this is a virtual episode. So fuck it. It's just virtual. It's a virtual episode of The Rant is Due. This is from John Bing. Dear Lewis, since we're all isolating like hermits and have more time to reflect on what in the holy hell is happening in the world, there's something that I've been waiting to hear from my academic anthropological betters for some time now. And I haven't heard it, and I am starting to bitch to anyone who will listen. And my friends and relatives are starting to repeat themselves, telling me to shut up and write to you, Lewis, like I have been threatening to do for months. You see, I live in Denver, and you were about to perform here when the world was suddenly visited with this biblical plague, and your tour was canceled. So I missed the chance to perhaps hear you read this live. And I don't know when you might ever have use for this rant before an audience. But I can't wait any longer. Well, neither could I. There is something that needs desperately to be said about the science of human biological variation, something anthropologists have known for at least a century now, something that desperately needs pointing out in this poisonous political public sphere that now prevails in this country. And that is this: there are no fucking races. There is today only one kind of human being. And we are all proudly miscegenated motherfuckers, Lewis. We are all mutts from the way the fuck back. If there's one thing my many years in university and graduate school taught me, it is that the segregationists lost the thou shall not have carnal relations with those other people argument years ago. I mean, tens and hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, and again, millions of years ago. Over and over the battle, if there was one, uh, uh, over whether to consort with the Neanderthal neighbors or the Denisovans who lived over the ridge, or probably any of our other truly distant cousins, more distant than any of us are from each other today. That argument was lost long ago. We are some horny motherfuckers, Lewis. And some of us have always been ready to shag anything that looks vaguely human. Our genes don't lie. And unless there is a very secretive population of hobbits or Bigfoots living in some hidden corner of this wide world as yet unknown to science, there is today only one kind of walking ape: the human kind. And even when there was more than one kind of human, we were still fucking each other. But as my college roommate once pointed out to me, if there are Bigfoots out there somewhere, you can be sure as shit they tell their children to stay the hell away from us. The human traits commonly considered racial, like skin color or nose form, have variation distributions that do not map with each other in indigenous populations. Got it? Do not map with each other in indigenous populations. These traits most often vary with the environmental condition, like latitude and sunlight exposure or average humidity, that give rise to much of the variation in the first place. The air that hits your lungs needs a little humidity, Lewis. That is why it's good to have a long, thin nose in the desert to provide lots of surface area inside to humidify the air before it can dry out your lungs. If you live in a humid tropical place, you're going to have a big, wide nostrils, and the air can go more directly in without hurting you because it's already humid. Nose form also varies with temperature. Good to have a flat face if it's super cold, but nose form does not map with skin color, which has responded over evolutionary time to different selection pressures. Okay? Sunlight exposure and vitamin D production, which I just had a little bit before I started doing this. Skin color is thus generally latitudinal. This is why, in the long and tortured history of scientific racial classification, no one could ever agree on how many races there are and what they are exactly and what criteria we should use to classify people with. No matter how you set up a racial classification system, there are people who do not fit. And not just because we are now so mixed up. No, we look much more diverse than we are genetically. Races are culturally constructed categories, and they have no scientific validity. Racial arguments are circular. Why does so and so have dark skin? Because they are a member of the Negroid race? Why are they a member of the Negroid race? Because they have dark skin. Because humans don't come in natural kinds. Racial categories vary across time and space. Races are different in different cultures, and they change historically. As European ethnic origins have become less salient in North America, the category white has become more expansive in general. The Poles didn't used to count as white. The Irish didn't used to be white. Even Jews are now widely considered white in the United States, although, of course, for some of us, you are still those dirty bastards who murdered Jesus Christ. But where would Christianity be today if that Jew Jesus didn't take one for the team? Some things I will never understand, Lewis, but I digress. On the other hand, there are white people in the Sudan who couldn't get a country club membership in most places in the United States of America. Anyway, Lewis, the point is, as strange as this sounds to our thoroughly race-believing American ears, there is only one race, which is to say, there are no races. Same fucking difference. Everyone alive on the planet today is more closely related to everyone else than any of us would be to any of the great menagerie of human groups that abounded many generations ago. Time is relative. In geological terms, we are a recently orphaned species. We have lost all our closest kin and have expanded like locusts on the earth. A dense field of genetically homogeneous primates ripe for colonization by an opportunistic virus. We are a vulnerable monocrop, as the history of dense civilization shows. We are the oldest domesticated species, Lewis, and we domesticated ourselves first. Or rather, women domesticated men. Long before we went through the bottleneck that left us so genetically vulnerable, women likely began sexually selecting more socially agreeable, nurturing mates to help with these big-headed, helpless, early-born ape babies we have. Not even ape babies, Lewis. Pitiful, helpless, squeaky things that can't even hold their heads up and grasp onto their mother's fur like proper non-hominin ape babies can. I'm starting to ramble, Lewis. It's a great story, human evolution. It's our scientific origin, and we anthropologists are the keepers, the stewards of this story in our science-doubting culture. And it is high time we anthros started yelling that story on street corners and everywhere else we can safely socially distance from all our sisters and brothers and human family everywhere. To this end, I have enlisted your bully pulpit. Thanks, Lewis. I needed to vent. May we all learn to help each other here on this earth. For the earth is surely testing us. We need to stop hating our siblings of whatever sex and gender, no matter who among consulting adults they want to fuck, whatever race we imagine they might be, and work together to mend our relations with our mother and father. Blessed be Lewis, and stay the hell away from everyone. I'll be so pissed if you die. That was John Bing from Denver, Colorado. Apparently, he's an anthropologist, and this seems to be his testament to what we're going through now in terms of all of the madness uh, that appears to be, out there, has been on the streets for quite some time. I wasn't able to be out on the streets uh, during all those protests, which I thought were really important. But you see, I'm in a very high, I'm not supposed to go out at all, really. I shouldn't probably even be talking to you right now. No, I'm in that high risk category that they talk about all the time, the ones that are the most vulnerable. So I wasn't able to get out there. But I think what John was trying to say is that, you know, uh, through that, one of the things, the basis of that protest is what John is trying to explain to you historically or anthropologically, so to speak. And it was a long one. And I'm sure that some of you gone, holy fuck, is this what it's going to be like? No, of course it's not what it'd be like. But I thought the information was important. And if for those of you who have something to respond to John, and I'm sure there's a bunch of anthropologists who go, hey, John, go fuck yourself. You're full of shit. So get those back to us. I'll certainly be here to read them. Well, not here. I'll be in another space. I'm constantly hiding. I'm constantly hiding from the virus. This next one is from Barry Wilson. Because of your stupid COVID-riddled president and other COVID-riddled Republicans, you can't do shows here in Canada, and we can't visit your virus-infected country to watch your show. Talk about how sad and sick it is that Americans are not welcome in most of the world. Before, Americans were not welcome but tolerated. Now they're banned. I went on a very Canadian high school trip with a curling team. That's probably about as Canadian as can be, as being on a high school trip with with your curling team, and not this kind of curling team. So you went to Scotland and England with your curling team, and in one hotel, a nice lady asked where we were from. I replied, Canada. She said, "Oh, that's why you're so well behaved," and you truly are. But as you showed there at the beginning, you don't mind throwing a few stones, do you, Barry? Well, we'll be seeing you. We'll be back across that border. I've seen some spots. There's some seams. There's some places there, I might be able to sneak in. Because if this gets any crazier here, I'm going to look for a hole in the wall, okay? Well, there's not a wall up there, but the way things are going, you never know. But I'm going to get there somehow. So we'll see you soon, Barry, one way or the other. This is from Harry Hooper. I'm an expat who lives in Oslo, fucking Norway. My brother lived there, where we have 3 fucking seasons. According to my brother, this is true. Fall, winter, and a springy fake summer. Since it's October, we're entering the dark season, which you can translate into 7 fucking months of dark and cold and discount lutefisk. I'd go and explain lutefisk for you, but I really want to keep you with me. But I'm digressing here. As an American who hasn't lived in the fucking US of A since the glorious 80s, I have to pay outrageous taxes in Norway and to the US of fucking A, because with Ethiopia, the US of fucking A is the only Western country in the world which taxes its citizens in foreign countries, even if you spent 90% of your fucking life in another country. Okay, fine. I can deal with grabbing my fucking ankles every April and taking it up the ass by the IRS, but enough is enough. Last month, lo and behold, I went to my mailbox and an experience equivalent to getting gang raped by rabid polar bears, and what did I find? A fucking economic impact check from Donald Trump. A fucking check in 2020s. Checks haven't circulated in these outlands since the early 90s. So not even my fucking bank will cash Trump's piece of shit check. In fact, most banks have thought it was a fucking fake check. Because it's signed really by our fake president, who's now sick with what he called a fake virus and is recuperating in a fake hospital that is injecting him with fake medicine. Well, anyway, the story doesn't end there. I asked the IRS if they take the check as a payment for my fucking U.S. taxes. But no, of course fucking not. The IRS doesn't fucking take checks, and especially checks that appear forged by Donald Trump. So now I'm sitting here drinking triples in the fucking dark, folding a $1,200 check into a paper airplane. The weather looks promising next week, with winds blowing west. Back to the White House. I'm hoping they will receive it by Christmas and then send me confirmation of funds received, because then I will only have to deal with rabid gang-banging polar bears and lutefisk. Look up lutefisk, Lutefisk. I'm not even going to explain it to you. Look it up, okay? And it may put you off, especially if you're looking for, gee, I don't want to eat today. Look up lutefisk. And I'd like to end today with a very nice piece here from Julia Holman. She doesn't say where she's from. I keep coming to your site to rant about shit, but once I finally type it all out, I no longer care. Fuck you and your free therapy. Now I have to admit to the therapist I pay that this writing shit down idea actually works. And that's ludicrous. See? Julia said it works. So, whatever's got you fucking pissed, okay? Whatever's irritating the fuck out of you. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. I've said this time and again. All right? Because really, literally, during this time frame, when you're wandering around, your brain is going to places I imagine it has never been to. And if you want to rip those things that are in your brain, burrowing in, and you want to get rid of them, okay? This is a way to do it, okay? Send it into the Rant is due, virtual style. We'll be here. I'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in.